So as Chris said, I hope and believe what I'll discuss today will be applicable to all. So this is less about scale and more about intentionality, purpose, and focus. And so we'll get started. Got the morning shakes all off. So this is hopefully what you saw, as Chris alluded to. November of last year, we doubled down off of what was an initial investment of $1 billion that really centered expansion around our Southwest territory, post the acquisition of BBVA. And a lot of this is centered around the renovations of our existing network. So it's not only just expansion, but what do we do in areas that we've lived in, been in, and thrived for years. And as we got to November, we figured out, obviously through data, through some anecdotal feedback as well, that what we were pursuing had some legs to run faster. And so we decided in both of our what you would call growth areas, growth territories, and so we expanded that growth to now focus in some larger expansions in the Southeast. And we'll cover some of those areas and really get down to the intentionality. So having never been to BankSpace, over the last day or two, I went on YouTube, which it was good to see a lot of the presentations and discussions done last year available. And so it was good to hear some of the things that many of you, who was here last year, awesome, so got a good repeat audience, are still very much relevant today. And so what I thought about it was 365 days later, did we create more clarity? Or is there greater confusion? And what I've kind of surmised, just hearing some of those topics, it's a blend. It's a little bit of both. And I kind of deem that more curiosity. Curious about what works, watching others, maybe test the market with AI, different formats in your branch, expansion, consolidations. And at some point, we're all here in this room trying to figure out who's going to make it work. What strategy do I follow? What strategy do I create? So it's always so interesting to see the relevance in this fast-changing environment. So much doesn't move that fast. Sometimes even what is old is new again. I know as Gina comes on after me, she'll reference some of the themes around the brick and mortar, our physical presence, and obviously the always famous quote by Jamie Dimon of people like to visit their money. But the branch network is more than that. It's a sense of confidence. It shows strength. It shows growth, as a lot of our consumers want to feel the same for themselves and their businesses. But ultimately, it's a human connection to what we deliver. That's what the reminder is, that I can talk to someone, even in this fast-paced digital world, that I know I have the option to interact with someone that drives empathy, creates understanding, and then can deliver that and humanize the digital shoulder to shoulder with that banker. And so I have a good little video to get the energy flowing today. This video was taken in Florida, a little bit further south, and obviously the expansion we have going down in Miami-Dade County.
We're here in beautiful Miami opening the new PNC Midtown branch. Come join us inside to see the party and what it's all about.
I'm so excited to be here in Midtown Miami as we open up one of our newest branches. And we'll continue to step it up over the next 3 to 4 years, adding 40 branches just here in Miami-Dade in Southeast Florida.
Now we're expanding even broader on a national scale, and we're going to be adding over 200 branches over the next 5 years.
What you see around us, the growth in Midtown, it's been very fast and furious, and we couldn't be more proud to be a part of that.
We have seen around the reaction in Miami from us opening these branches has been truly off the charts. You know, Miami is going to become one of the 5 or 6 most important, biggest markets in the United States, and we want to be around for that growth, and we want to power it. So after the grand opening down in Midtown, we decided to do a couple of visits of our other branches in Miami to see what's going on, meet the team, and generally celebrate the amazing success we're seeing across the Miami market.
PNC is very unique in the way that we do banking and the way that we treat our clients.
Not many banks do what we do.
This is a beautiful city. It's super diverse. So I think PNC coming into Miami would be huge for both the company and the community.
Miami is a city that continues to grow, and I think that we're growing right alongside with it.
What makes Miami a great location to continue with PNC growth is its rich history, its vibrancy.
It's just a market that will enhance PNC's brand as well.
My name is Adnai Mendez. I'm a branch manager at the Uptown Miami PNC, and I approve this message.
First reminder, I was gonna wear that suit, so thank God I didn't. You would have all thought I only had one suit to wear. And so this part, we put this on LinkedIn, just again, get the energy, and back to my opening comments around the buzz that we felt. Obviously, we felt it from our clients, see it from many of our vendors that are partnering with us in this expansion, but we hear it from our employees. Through this growth, so again, as you try to think about what's adaptable and what do you take away, talent becomes hand in hand, not just in the need to launch these de novos correctly, efficiently, effectively, but it becomes a draw on some of the industry's best talent where our own people want to seek out growth. Again, as small businesses want to grow with a growing institution, so do employees' careers. This is a slide again, that's also out, where we've defined the markets that we are investing in. None of those there are new to PNC. Every one of those markets we are in today and in a very significant way. You take Dallas, for instance. We have 101 branches today in Dallas, and we'll add 18. And so a lot of it, back to what can you take away, start saying in the geographies that you today do business in, that you represent, whether at a regional scale, super regional, community, credit union, are you winning and dominating in that MSA? Now, it could be a zip code, it could be a county, or it can be a state. And the reason I pose that question is the same question we asked ourselves. Do we want to chase new targets, or do we want to double down in the ones that today we're already seeing traction? We already know the brand resonates. We already understand how to do business, have centers of influence, have a talent hub, and have word of mouth. Where do I want to put my money? And so obviously, we chose to double down in where we were. Because what our data has shown us is that there is this inflection point of relevance. You are either below or above the line. Now, mathematically, you want to be neither of those. Because if you are above the line, you are no longer operating efficiently within your geography. It is too costly, too many branches based on the market share that you have. And below, you become less relevant. And so there is data that, as many of you have used not only internally within yourselves, but as you try to figure out the science, what is true density? At PNC, we have a number. And we know that number, again, based through communities today, and within our top 30 MSAs within the United States today, we've reached that level of density in 6. This plan puts us into 19. And so it's about, again, the benefit of being a coast-to-coast national player is you get, again, this kind of broad view, but in a lot of these areas, we are underserved. So we are in more MSAs than many, if not most, of our large peers. That's including Bank of America and Wells Fargo. What we have lacked is the density in this ultra-thin network to drive that level of relevance. This is what we're solving for. And a lot of that, again, starts with a zip code, starts with a county, and it just to make sure that it accelerates the growth that we're already seeing. And so you see a little bit of visibility when we think of the physical space. And so we know kind of the why. So we know that based on the geographies that we're in, and branches where we already have, we're going to continue to evolve this space. And the spaces are centered to be specifically around bringing our human talent to life through digital capabilities and hospitality. If you've read any articles, whether it's myself, whether it's Alex or Todd from PNC, you'll see hospitality be at the core of everything that we say. Because a lot of it, again, in this digital environment, has caused us to drive a lot of self-service. And that is still continues to be very valuable, but you have to know what the client's preference are. And so in some cases, and I remember a video from last year, it was, I think, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it had that client going to the kiosk, and he had to get a coffee, had to download an app because he couldn't pay with cash, and then there was a $10 minimum if you paid with card, so if you had to upload, I cringed because that's the reality of our world. That's what we're trying to do to some of our clients, and we're losing so many because when at some point we took our most valuable asset, which is our people, and tried to dilute it through just simply technology. And that we know that technology is activated through people. We know that technology is activated shoulder to shoulder, and then yes, you create a better reliance on technology that is humanly led, not just digitally led. And so a lot of these spaces allow for that ability to see our clients, welcome. At PNC, we have something simple, which is you open the door for every client. It's a small little piece, but it's not done often. I grabbed a cup of coffee, I threw some trash, one of our assistants out there moving some things around, put it in, she said, "My pleasure." Simple words. Chick-fil-A somehow gets it right and we can't. But so yes, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on opening the door. And you know why? Because I want clients to be curious. Because if you can get opening the door done right, I want them to figure out what else can you do right? What else can I go on this journey? Because I'm sure the conversation, maybe that referral, maybe that insight, whatever technology that we're using within our branches that we believe gives us better insight or connectivity to the client can all be muffled when you just simply can't open the door. Don't acknowledge. And so the spaces that we're creating bring that to life. Bring that ergonomic ability for our people to be front and center stage, and then when needed, go to private spaces to have that conversation, to drive that advice, and to obviously be able to lead with empathy and understanding as we also see some great and beautiful finishes within our branches. When we think of this topic, and so again, a lot of it, probably most of the buzz I'm getting is around the 210 branches roughly we're adding to our network. Now today I have about 2,230. Obviously as consolidations at PNC are on the decline, but it's always important to note that if it wasn't for the investments we've made around consolidations over the last 10 years, I wouldn't be on this stage. And so many of you may be on different learning curves of the journey. It's the investments we've made, tough decisions in the way we repivoted our network, reduced redundancies, that we're now able to reinvest back into our franchise in a meaningful way. So this money didn't come out of thin air. I didn't go and just simply say, hey, can I have $1.5 billion? And Alex and Bill Demchuk said, sure. It came through years and years of thoughtful kind of curation of our network to be able to now add in pockets where we see growth, where we see a need. And a lot of it's not just data feeding this, it's our clients. It's been great to just put an ear on the floor and hear our clients and say, hey, tell me about your experience with PNC. And it's a great feeling to say, man, we love you, but we just wish you had more. We're where? Well, hey, this whole community has grown over the last 10 years, and you're not there. And I'd love to see you be part of that. And so again, as we listen to our client base, you connect that to the data, you start finding that you don't need many if you're trying to win a zip code, if you're trying to win a county, if you're trying to win a state. But it's about being truly relevant before we chase some other shiny object in the network. There's great other cities today that we're not in. But we're not in because today we choose not to be in, because we haven't won the fights that we're in yet. You know, often I think Bill Demchek, Alex get the question, why aren't we international? You know, it's always a sexy thing to do. I mean, today in today's environment with tariffs may not be as sexy as it once was. But it's like, why are we choosing another fight? And that's the question for this group, is are you winning the fights that you want to win, that you're investing in, that you're choosing to win? Or is there something shiny that's a distraction from what your core strategy is, and also at what you're good at? If you're great in a state, be in that state and be number one market share, be top 3 market share. That's the strategy behind our growth. It's really leaning in. And so again, the biggest part of that 1.5 billion is modernizing our network. And there's some things I'm excited, hopefully, whether it's myself, someone else from my team is here next year, because the things that we'll have, the last year has been awesome. I'm even more excited about the next year at PNC. Because again, when I often speak about what the investment looks like, it's not just the physical. You've heard me talk a lot about the people, but it continues to be the platform. Those 3 things in tandem give you this runway, this urgency, this acceleration that we all want to see as we grow. And I'll share some data points later on in the presentation that'll show how 2024 shaped up for PNC as we really double down on this investment and starting to see an ROI. And Gina will tell you anytime I'm on with adrenaline, my question at the end is like, how do we know the ROI on this? And so this is not spending it because we can, this is spending it because I promise that 1.5 billion will turn into 5 billion. If not, you'll have someone here on stage next year. So again, we'll continue to look at our current fleet, modernize, invest, and transform our entire existing network over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. And again, the focus continues to be on that client and human interaction. Who knows PNC about being brilliantly boring? Well, that's us. Boring as hell. But we're brilliant. And I remember as we launched that slogan, it is so true. We are the tortoise in the race, slow and steady. But slow is intentional. The brilliance behind the boring is how we've brought these structures to life. We know and we continue to see some fads, and they're cute and they look good. I want to shoot lasers outside of my branches as well. But that's not where we're centered in. We're centered around how do I ensure this investment not only drives early on success and we beat every profitability or break-even point possible, but that 10 years from now, I am busting at the seams in my locations. That I'm fighting to try to figure out where do I fit another banker? Where do I fit another partner? And so we're doing that where, again, our investments are focused on advice, on those interactions, on the conversation, as we also have some really nice details that we think will continue to set the experience apart from many others. A little bit try to, not give away too much proprietary information. But so in this image, you see what we've started to deploy in some areas as this kind of concierge hub. And I remember years ago, we removed coffee. Obviously, the pandemic caused us to remove a lot of human interactive parts of the branch, right? In a COVID environment, who wants a ton of people grabbing coffee and touching a whole bunch of things? But now we know today, as you think of like a first-class seat on your airline, how do we create a first-class experience through our entire network? But how do we also, again, through data, understand our geography, where maybe there's an even higher expectation in some of our locations? And so we want to create a seamless experience throughout all 2,200 plus locations, but we also want to be smart and understand that it's not a one-size-fits-all. Now, we want everyone to feel that local presence. We want to feel that local investment, and that my conversation, that I don't have to go to a branch 10 miles down the road to have a better conversation. I can have that everywhere. But that there's certain nuances based on what we know of the clientele that we can adapt and grow with each and every one of those communities. So imagine you're sitting in an office after we've opened the door, after, if it was an appointment, we knew you by name and escorted you right to the banker you set that appointment with. Maybe we knew already why you were coming in most cases, obviously, we do. That there's a little treat, a little kind of, oh, this was unexpected. Small things that go a long way when you're trying to chase some big things. I love this quote. Service is the technical delivery of a product. Hospitality is how the delivery of the product made that recipient feel. That's the sense we're looking to create in these spaces. Yes, it's a bank space, but it's a human space. And hospitality really invokes the best of what our talent can do. It sets the bar that, hey, you may have some beautiful advertisement in the back. You may have a beautiful zone. And again, I love our work with adrenaline that defines the area that I'm in, that I know whether I'm transacting or interacting. Like, those things are important for the choreography of our locations. But it's that hospitality that brings it to life. What we say, what we do, how we follow up. And so again, I know in a part that's centered so heavily on the physical, all that often falls flat. If there's not that human element, there's not that hospitable element that brings it to life and really defines. Like, what I've loved at PNC has been our team telling our growth story. The new branch, yes, it offers a billboard effect, branding, marketing, but it's been the voice of our teams out in the community telling the story that's driven this acceleration. It doesn't sell itself. And so you have to ensure your people, our people, are coming along with that ride. So here's some data. Here's what we've done so far. We've renovated over 320 branches. It's probably a little bit more now since when we pulled the slide. And in 2024, we saw a record growth in net DDA within PNC to a record number. Now again, validated the sites that we have, validated the investments that we've put in. You've started to see communities respond and tell our story. Hey, have you been to the new PNC branch? God, it's gorgeous. No, I'll have to check it out. We're giving people a reason to visit their money. We're giving people a reason to be curious about the investments we're making within our community. And then I loved all that because amongst our top bank and regional peers, J.D. Power said, #1 branch network for 2024. So others are noticing, internally we're noticing, and so how do you continue to invest in what you see this acceleration within our physical network? So again, and you see some stuff around online banking in there as well, brilliantly boring, our new credit card, we've launched 2 new credit cards in the last 2 years, so it does take more than just the physical space. But when you can choreograph this people, physical, and platform investment simultaneously, you just start seeing some inroads that you haven't felt for quite some time. So again, proud of what our team's accomplished. And news, we're running faster this year than we did last. So hopefully that chart goes even faster, goes even higher when we're back here next year. You can see some of the visual around our standard new de novos kind of out the box, and we think about us sitting in a sweet spot around 3,000, 3,500 square feet. Now, granted, some, depending on the delivery, can be a little smaller, can be a little larger. I just saw a site that we signed down in Miami. It was a little over 4,000 square feet, and so we're, again, bigger spaces than what the industry deems today. But back to my comment, I'm building things to blow out of the seams, not just for day one, but it's acknowledging day one, that first client that opens an account, that first transaction that most likely is going to be at an ATM or a VBM or ITM. But it's just knowing what that performa was built to. It's built for growth, it's built for partners. And one of the things that I've loved in Miami specifically, and I have a grand opening on Thursday in New Jersey, is retail's not the only one showing up. It's been great to see wealth management. It's been great to see corporate institutional banking in these spaces, bringing their clients. So if anyone just has this and is trying to find an ROI on your next de novo or your next renovation, if you're trying to do this all under and solely the umbrella of retail, it'll have some struggles. But as I look at my AMG partners, at my CNIB partners, and say, how is this gonna help you accelerate your business? If they say it won't, we don't open a branch. Because it has to be as an entire organization, business banking, corporate banking, investments that sees themselves in the pure narrative of this growth. And so it's good to see them in our grand openings. Again, directors across all of our lines of business show up, which we know, again, that means that they want a seat at the table, they have a seat at the table, and it's not just about that grand opening, it's, hey, what do those referrals look like after that grand opening? And so lastly, before I introduce Gina, hey, I thought at first I didn't feel like I was brilliantly boring. But now, I mean, if nothing short of getting it tattooed, it's definitely synonymous with not only ourselves, which means we're thoughtful, intentional, and like I said when we started, so it doesn't matter the size of your bank. When you think about where you are today, do you understand, do you have the density and relevance to win? Does it show up at the zip code level, county, state? Or are we chasing the next shiny thing that maybe can be great, fun, get some headlines, but maybe it's a little harder to find that ROI. And so with that, proud to introduce a tremendous partner from Adrenaline, Gina. Can't wait to see you share your pieces of wisdom. So thank you, and thank you all.